There we go.
No, I love this when I see it when you're doing it with other people. So
I know it's always like, is it going to work?
are we live? Are we
Are
not
we
live?
live? Yeah, we're going. I'm doing it in the Facebook groups right now, but I think we're already live on YouTube. So, hey, YouTube, and
Hey, you two.
hey, Facebook group. I figured out how to go live now in two groups at the same time. So, that's exciting.
Wow.
So, all right, you guys. Well, guess what's happening today? I am excited because I love it when we get to like combine forces.
Right?
So, because for those of you that don't know, Sara is the founder of the Do It Now community. And so we are doing the thing by doing it now.
Yes. I love that. I
And
love that.
so, and Sara was in the audience or is in the Audience Accelerator program. And so she's one of the sister communities that is coming from the program. And it's amazing to just already see things coming alive where people are just so just what is the word yeah, like your force of like what you care about, right, is now kind of holding this group.
Yes.
And it's been like really beautiful to see.
Mhm.
I'd love to have you just first, for anyone that doesn't know you yet, please
Mhm.
share who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into all the community stuff. And while you're doing that, I've got to do a couple things on Facebook, so just so you
Sure.
know.
Sure. Okay, great. No, and it's fun. It's fun to watch you be the tech guru that I hope to be one day. I'm going to what is it? It's caught, not taught. So I'm going to be catching your technology expertise. I'm going to be watching what you do. So I'm Sara Moses, and I am an inspirational speaker, mindset coach. Thanks to you, I'm a podcast host of the Do It Now podcast. And yeah, I have this wonderful community because of you as well called Do It Now. And we're just a great, big, growing group of people who have some big dream or big life goal that we want to accomplish in this lifetime. And our battle cry is it's never too late. We're just getting started. So yeah, that's us. And I'm having fun getting to know the people in my group. And we just had a fun thing this last week where everybody posted their like number one challenge. And in fact, I have to pick a person. I didn't know how to do it because, I'm new to all this, but one person's going to get to be on the hot seat. We've got an expert coming in this Wednesday at 11 a.m. PST, Lucy Dutton, all the way from England. Can you believe that?
That's
And
great.
she's going to be talking. She's a high performance coach, and she's going to be giving some, tips and tricks and skills to help all of us take action, because that's really what it's about, I think.
Yeah,
Taking
yeah, no,
action.
definitely. Yeah, it's amazing. And I know that we share a lot of common things with community and our want to be in connection
Mhm.
and be able to be around others. And
Mm.
yeah, just being able to see now what you're doing, it's been really exciting. I'd love you to just kind of share. Why don't we start with well, I don't know. I feel like the podcast was first because you did find your voice too. And let's kind of just share this like kind of process, because a lot of people will look at you now, right, and they'll be like um like, oh, I couldn't do that, right, like,
Mm.
or
Mhm.
like, I don't know, like Sara can do it because
Mhm.
she's Sara, right? They don't ever see like the
Mhm.
grind behind
Yes.
the
Yes. Yes. No, it's been really exciting, and I've done things since meeting you and since starting this entrepreneurial journey about a little over a year ago. I never in a million years thought I would be doing this. I stuttered when I was a child until about age 6 or 7. And I don't know if anyone knows about stuttering, but it really sets this sort of insecurity piece within you. And it caused me to be sort of always a very quiet person who would stay in the shadows and sort of watch everyone else. I had a sister who was 5 years older. We lived in Mexico some of the year. She was fluent in Spanish. And so I was just this quiet person who would hide behind my sister. She would do all the talking. And then that sort of followed into, we were moving a lot. So I was always the new girl in school. I never had any friends. I was always sitting on the bench, wanting to meet some friends and just lives this sort of quiet in the shadows, insecure, I struggled with that a lot of my life. I did try to get into acting when I was in high school and college, did a little of that, but it was so painful. Have you ever felt that? It was just painful to put myself out there. I just didn't feel comfortable. Like I would go and do it, but then afterwards it's just like, that was
Yeah.
so big. Have you felt that ever?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I sort of let that go, and I went what you would call behind the camera, got into casting for years, commercial
Mhm.
casting, theatrical casting, and then had many different careers. I went and got my master's in psychology, got into counseling, got into construction management, design, Airbnb, like all these different careers that I would do so that I could have a flexible job while I was raising my daughters.
Yeah.
But then, as you know, I had some pretty tragic things happen in the last few years and just sort of hit this place of really rock bottom. And it was very, very, very dark, sad time. And I remember being at the foot of my bed and I was praying. I was just praying for answers or for understanding. And I remember hearing, how I don't know how the words get in your head, but I just heard him say, use your voice.
Mhm.
And I knew he meant more than just use your voice, but use your voice in, Sarah, who do you want to be in this lifetime? Who do you want to become? What do you want to be about?
Mhm.
Stop being worried about what everyone else thinks and just go use your voice. And lo and behold, like how much longer was it after that that I met you and find your voice, right? I mean, it's kind of wild. And being in your community where there's all these other people who are going through the same thing and sharing the same feelings and watching them be brave and encourages me to be brave. And we sort of all support each other. And it's such a really supportive, loving, almost like family environment. There's no competition, right? It's just so inspiring. So that really helped me. And I've been doing things since then. As you know, we share this one of the same mentors as well, Eileen Wilder. And in that group was one of the first times I was ever encouraged to go live on Facebook. Like that was mind blowing to me. Do you know that day I was almost burst into tears doing that for the very first time.
Yeah.
And I don't know, was that 4 or 5 months ago? It's funny how something that seems so scary and so out of possibility, once you start doing it over and over again, it just
Yeah.
becomes, I mean, look at us today. I'm just chatting along, it's like,
No, I know, and it's you almost forget that it was hard, right? I was talking to Vicky, Vicky, and the
mhm,
other day, and it's like you don't realize like how much growth like you really have until you can like sit back and like look and go, oh my gosh, there's like magic here. And then when you get to start to see how the dots connect too with
mhm,
it can really blow your mind, especially when you're doing these like micro actions that don't feel like a
mhm.
lot at the time, but then when you look back it's like, oh my gosh, it's a lot.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And that's why I think I wanted to also start this community of Do It Now, is to talk about that part of fear. I was really, I think, uh, missing out on a lot of life and a
Mm,
lot of what I wanted because of fear. And to just share my journey, if it helps anyone else, that now that I'm going through it, these times when I've almost been paralyzed in fear and very emotional. But if you keep moving and taking action and walking forward, you start to realize, oh, I survived. I think you have a funny t-shirt. What is it? I didn't die, right? Like,
oh yeah,
you're
yeah,
right. Like I survived.
yeah.
I wow, I can do this. And then you, as we said, you keep doing it. And that I realized everything we've always wanted, I think, is on the other side of fear. If we can just
Hmm.
be brave, keep moving, because I think sometimes we think when we're having that feeling that we're supposed to stop and we're supposed to retreat, and the opposite is true. It's like keep going, because if you're feeling that, it means you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're outside of your comfort zone. You're doing something you've never done before. You're stretching yourself and you're going after something probably very meaningful to you, or you wouldn't have so much feeling around it, right? So, yeah, I just want to
Yeah,
encourage.
it's hearing you say that, it actually makes me think of our mentor again, Eileen Wilder, because she said this, I think it was like a month ago, and it was right when I was feeling it. She was like, if you're not feeling it, it means your calling isn't big enough.
Wow, that is so good.
No.
That is so deep, right?
Yeah. And it like validates it, right? It validates it because it's like, yeah, it's so much easier, to just stay in your comfort zone, and
Mhm.
when you realize that we're here for a bigger purpose, right? Like you getting that message of use your voice, right? Like it's like you have a bigger calling, and
Mhm.
it's putting yourself out there. I just wanted to
Mhm.
say hi because I saw Vicky was here. Hey,
Oh,
Vicky.
hi,
We were
Vicky.
just talking about you, and Jackie's here. So good to see you. Yeah. So let's talk about the podcast first, because that was like kind of like a something hard, right? That happens for a lot of people, where it's like it feels so big in the mind, right? But then when you
Mhm.
actually are able to do it, you were like fast. It was like as soon as I sent you that workshop, I mean, I feel like it was like the next day that you started your podcast.
It was. I had this idea in my mind that I wanted to have a podcast probably for 2 years. You think about something and
Yeah.
it seems like this big complicated thing. Like, well, I'd have to get equipment and I'd have to do this and lighting and all. And so I kept thinking about. I met you at Eileen's program, and you mentioned that you had this podcast workshop. And I remember zeroing in on that, and I said, "Oh, can I, find out about that when I get home?" And you shared it with me, and I took your workshop, which I think is it 75 minutes?
Yeah. It is.
And
Yeah.
24 hours later, I was up and running. After I remember there were a few messages back and forth with you, because I was like, well, what microphone should I order? And what lighting should and you were like, nope, Sarah, just go. And I'm like, no, I was like resistant, and I was going to fight you on it. And then finally, when you listen to something Eileen has said to me, and we've all learned too from her, is like, if you have a mentor, listen to your mentor. Right?
Yeah.
So I listened to you and I just said, okay. 24 hours later, I had my artwork, I had my cover, I had my name, I was going for it, going messy. And I remember my first interview was with Sean Kelly of Do the Big Dream, who I met through you and your communities from the Audience Accelerator. And I remember I didn't set it up right because I didn't put side by side. So it's just Sean or just me talking. But, so I messed up that. But he's such an incredible storyteller, and he was such an incredible guest that my first experience was so fun and so easy that then I was just like, I'm going forward, and I was just
Yeah.
having a great time. So your way of teaching and encouraging us to just go for it and do it, and it's like I was talking about yesterday, just jump off that diving board before you have too long to think about it.
Yeah.
Right? It's really important. So you help us all take action.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that is like really important is it's like, what's the easiest way to get into momentum, right? And so
Mm,
because you already had some familiarity with Sean from the community,
yes.
and then I'm imagining the next like bunch of interviews that you had, it wasn't like you were cold messaging people. You had some
Right.
kind of like
Yes.
knowledge, and that really helped you feel comforted by like doing the interview. And if you messed up, it was
Yes.
okay. They wouldn't
Yes.
be like, it wouldn't be weird, and then that's where the momentum starts. And then and then it becomes easy, because then it's like, you're not even like thinking it's just like fun, right? Where you're just
Right.
getting to play.
Right. It really truly just is a conversation. We have to remember it's just just like we're having right now. And that's what the podcast interview is. And that's what I also try to help. I sometimes train speakers, and you're just having a conversation from the stage. It really truly is a conversation. So conversation from the heart. And I think that the way that you encourage all of us to, as you said, just do it before we feel ready. But as you said, it's warm. It's a warm community. It's a warm audience. It's a warm guest. As you said, we sort of
Yeah.
maybe have known each other, or there's someone that idea of reaching out to people that we have crossed paths with in the past is interesting, because it opens up this network that just keeps opening and opening and opening.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been really beautiful.
Yay. And that's what I love about doing the Do the Thing collaboration group, because it's kind of like a starting place, like where people like you interviewed Delisa
Yes.
yesterday.
Yes.
And it's like an easier way to be able to connect with people. And then Alex, founder of Podmatch, should come into the community. And then after you've
Yes.
got a few podcasts under your belt, then you could go join Podmatch, right? And be able to,
Yeah.
make it easier for you to connect with people that way. And it just feels like Yeah, it just feels like such a kind of like a nurturing, supportive way to do it versus it having to be, doesn't always have to be so hard, especially
Right.
when you're around people too.
Right. That's a really good word, nurturing. That's
Mhm.
very much what it is.
What do you
Nurturing.
think like your podcast has given you? Like, I want people to know that haven't started a podcast yet. Like, what do you actually like get out of it? Because the first thing I have to get people
Mhm.
over is like, who's going to hear it? What am
Right.
I going to say? You know,
Right.
like, why does like, am I an expert? And I try to like, through the workshop, I'm like, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. Like, it
Right.
literally doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. I think that what I have gotten through the podcast is connection. When you are interviewing someone or talking, having that conversation for an hour, and they're sharing, they're being really authentic and they're sharing, and you're talking about sort of the most important things in their life, like what are their passions or what are their, their big dreams or what are they working on in their life and who are they trying to help and what message do they have? These are really meaningful things. And so you're connecting on a deep level immediately, and there's a connection there. And I never worry about how many people might hear it.
Mhm.
If one person hears it, if 10 people, end up hearing the interview, I don't worry about that right now. Right now, I'm just interested in connecting with this person. I always have a curiosity about them as a human being and what they're trying to do in the world and what they want to accomplish. And I see my podcast at, just this is my personal thing, as I want to be a place for them to sort of be their billboard. I know it's funny because Vicky's watching and she's talked about this concept, and that's how I want my podcast to be someone's billboard. I want them to talk about what's special to them, what's important to them. Do they have a master class? And I want to promote them, encourage them, inspire them, support them. And then whatever it ends up being after that is what it will be. It's out in the universe. So I think a lot of people might worry about numbers and followers and
Mhm.
growing, and I'm not worried about that right now. I'm really truly worried about connecting and this curiosity about another human being and letting other people know about that human being even in my small way. But as I continue doing this, who knows? I mean, all of us probably have a dream of being, Ed Milet or Jay Shetty or I don't know, Mel Robbins and all that. But I'm just being me right now, having fun.
Yeah, and it's so powerful, right? When you're able to connect with another person in this
Mhm.
way. I remember when I first started my podcast, one of the things I was really working on was being a better listener.
Mm.
And so I used the podcast. Like I really got into authentic relating. I had Kate Middleton come on, who's a facilitator.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of the gifts that happened during the workshop is she was able to, or during the challenge, the actual like 5-week challenge, where she was able to
Mm.
like do a listening workshop. And it was really great because I used to listen back to the episodes and then I would like see where I didn't listen, and like
Mm.
I used it as a way to get better, which I thought was like, it's like interesting when I forgot about that, until
Mhm.
now. And it's cool because there's so many things that you could learn, from the experience in itself.
Yeah, that's making me realize I want to go listen to that episode of you'll have to tell me what episode that
Oh
is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah.
it's fun.
So, and then you joined the Audience Accelerator program, and oh my gosh, your launch party was like, I mean, it was so, so good. Do you want to share a little bit about like what that experience has been like for you and like how
Yeah.
you've been feeling?
Yeah, yeah, and of course, so I really wanna share the part right before, though, because I think it's important to share that part. I
Totally.
cannot tell you how much fear I had, how much apprehension, how much resistance. I wanted to quit, I didn't wanna do it, I was scared, I didn't know how it was gonna go, I thought no one would show up, I was, like, lost, and I think our minds do that, right, to
Yeah.
us. And it's the people who don't quit in those moments. We were talking about it, right? So the launch party ended up being so fun. I reached out to you and Tubi, and you joined me, and we had a lot of fun. And we really celebrated this idea that all these people, we're all going to go for it. We're gonna do the thing, and we're going to do it now, and we're going to learn from each other, support each other. It was a really fun party. I think we had a good time that night. I
It
hope
was
everyone else did too.
so fun. Yeah, it was so fun. Oh, I noticed Delisa's here too. Hey, Delisa,
Oh,
good
hey,
to see
Delisa.
you. And then Jackie said, it's unbelievable when you hear the stories of other people, you realize that the fear is universal. That is such a good point. I think that's what
Yes.
I love the most about community is that, or not love the most, but love so immensely is that
Mhm.
we think we're alone in our fears and our thoughts and that
Mhm.
like we're the weird ones, but we
Mhm.
realize that like when you get everyone together and you're able to like find out what's holding other people back, it's
Mhm.
like literally the same stuff, because I've noticed this like anytime I'm doing something new that's like really outside what I'm comfortable with, like those same things that used to come up when I was doing something else are back, right? And so you have to like kind of like go through it again. And when you get to see other people going through it, I think it really opens up that space of vulnerability. It opens up that space of connection. And you're
Mhm.
able to go after your goals so much faster because you're out of your head at that point.
Mhm. Mhm. I love what Jackie just said about that fear
Mhm.
being universal, and just that idea too of think about, had I had I not done the launch party and like quit and stop the whole thing, and there's been a few times during Audience Accelerator where you are outside of your comfort zone enough, as they're dares. We're daring you to do something. It implies it's probably something you haven't done before, and sometimes it's hard. And this idea that things are supposed to be hard, they're supposed to be difficult, they're supposed to be challenging. We need to get
Yeah.
over this idea that it's supposed to feel easy and fun all the time. But then look, I it's like all of us who have this fear that is universal, we can learn from one another that just keep walking through it, keep
Mhm.
going, do it, and then it's actually really fun. And I think that there's that's what's really good about the Audience Accelerator, is that you are on a regular basis put up sort of in front of yourself, sort of having to look in front of a mirror, like, can I do this? Am I brave enough to do this, to put myself out there and to answer honestly and authentically and keep growing? And the answer is yes. And anytime when I've wanted to maybe quit or there's too much resistance, I take a moment to sit back and observe and watch all the other people in the group. And
Mhm.
that's when you really get inspired, because you see the
Mhm.
magic unfolding from them and their
Yeah.
growth and their, glow and their magic. And it brings you back in and you say, okay, yes, I want to be a part of this so much. And so I want to grow in the same way they are. So I'm going to have the faith and take a
Mhm.
step forward. So
So good. And oh, I just wanted to say hi to Jamie Lynn is here too. So good. Hi,
Jamie.
Jamie. Good to see you.
Yeah.
So there's so much in this because there's like the finding your voice, and I liked how Jana, she's in the program too. She talked about stretching your voice. So it's
Oh,
like you find your voice, right? And then you have to stretch it, and then the using, I think, then is like next, right? Like in terms of
mhm.
like community platform.
Yes, and that, the using your voice, as we're talking about those different things, it's like sharing your voice. Now share it with the
There you
world, right?
go. That's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah,
That's a really good point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Jana, man, she's just it's been so great watching her. Oh,
Yeah.
love what she's
So
doing.
that reminds me of like what's great about what you're doing now with the community is how clear you can get now with like what you want to do and who you want to help, right?
Hmm.
Because like even her, for example, she won one of the prizes that you gave out at the launch party and you got to work one-on-one with her.
Yeah.
And that was just a whole like opening for you alone, right? Like she got a
Yes.
lot of value out of it. But do you want to share a little bit about that process about how now having a community helps you kind of like almost just like grasp, like what your highest purpose is?
Yes. Yes. It really keyed me in, working with Jana really keyed me into that idea that you shared with us, which is, who is it that you work with that energizes you?
Oh yeah.
And I
Mhm.
realized in that moment working with Jana that, like, she's a perfect example of someone who it energizes me to work with, where uh, she is naturally uh, gifted and talented, and her message is needed and special, and all these things going for her. And there was, that she's just right there ready to go, but just maybe needs a little encouragement or a little reframing of some things that maybe people think are holding them back, when actually that's their superpower.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. That thing that you think is the thing that you shouldn't be sharing, or that you're worried about sharing, is like, share that, and
Yeah.
that will draw all your people to you. You're authentic, you're real, you're excited about it, you're passionate about it, it's your thing, and that's what people are waiting for from you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so good. And so, what do you think for someone that hasn't started a community, or that's like not in their mind as a way to build their audience?
mhm.
What do you think? Why do you think it would be good for them to like open up their mind to that idea of actually putting people around whatever it is they're wanting, whether it's a book club, it's a product, like an
Mhm.
e-commerce product, it's a
Mhm.
offer.
Mhm. I think the biggest reason to do it is and I can only speak for myself because it was the reason I wanted to do it,
Mm-hmm.
was this idea of a warm community.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been in sales. It's not something I'm comfortable with. It's very scary to me. I know that I have something, very valuable to offer, but I don't know how to get to that place of offering it. And through you and Facebook communities, I feel like we have a warm, supportive community where I can give value, and we can all give value to one another, and we can kind of grow with one another. And at that natural, organic time when it feels right, then I
Mm-hmm.
can offer something to my community, and they might be interested or not interested. But you see how it's just this very natural ease thing,
Yeah.
instead of, I think it takes all of that icky part of sales away, and
Yeah.
it's gone. And I couldn't do that. I wasn't interested in doing that. I wouldn't be successful in doing it that way. So I really, truly needed something of what you're offering, which is to build a warm community where I can offer value and get to know people and build a relationship with them first.
Yeah.
And it be this very natural, organic time when I will offer something to them, or they'll reach out to me. I really also believe a lot in the law of attraction, the law of energy, and that I don't want to be, going after people and pursuing people. I
Yeah.
want to I want to just be open about who I am, and if that draws them to me, they'll reach out to me. That's another thing, is it's a place where I can share what I do and share who I am with people, and they can get to know me. Where else could I do that unless I was like running paid ads or something,
Yeah.
or, you
So true.
know, or trying to play the Instagram game or whatever. This
Yeah.
is a place where it's literally like, inviting people over to your house, except it's on Facebook, and we
Yeah.
talk about stuff, and we share stuff, and they share things with me, give and take, and we get to know each other over time. And then if it's a natural fit, and what's interesting is, right now, at least, it's been interesting because more of my recommendations have been maybe to people that, other people that I know that could be helpful to them right now. Right.
Mhm.
And I like that it's, it's just feels very pure. It feels very
Mm.
organic, authentic. I keep using these words, natural. And if people are looking to do their business in that way, then building this Facebook community, the way that you teach it, is the way to go.
Mm. Yeah, no, I like that. And it's kind of like how I started, where I wasn't even planning on monetizing it. It was just research for a book. And then I got so
Mm.
just like in love with just the whole thing that I just kept doing it. And then it wasn't until I had built it and then had monetized it. And then I started going to these conferences, and everyone was like, wait, what are you doing? And then that's when I realized I should teach it. But
Right. Yeah.
it's kind of that process where you get to kind of almost, some other people tell you what you're good at sometimes too, right? Which
Right.
that's a dare I haven't done yet. I want to add that dare, is like looking at the other people in the group, and being able to
Yes.
say like, what do you see? Because I feel like that would be a fun one to give you guys also.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because
Really good
sometimes
one.
we don't see ourselves. It's hard. But when someone else is able to look, oh my gosh, I just had a conversation with Sue.
Mhm.
She's the Entrepreneurs Gone Wild, and we just connected the dots in a huge way on something in her community. And she's going to be the first from the program doing a Do the Thing challenge, because it came alive right away.
Oh,
And so,
good.
yeah, but
That's
the point
exciting.
is it just becomes a very natural like thing,
Mm.
right? when you get
Mm-hmm.
to see these dots connecting. And so I was able to see that in her,
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's good. I can't wait to give you guys that dare. That's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about the name change of the Audience Accelerator to the Incubator? Now knowing it's, because I just realized it's the same thing. I don't know.
Right.
I think you remember that meeting where I'm like, oh wait,
Right.
it's actually the same thing. But in my mind, Incubator feels better because
Yes.
I want people to understand, like, we're getting to know people.
Yes.
You know?
I really feel that that's a great name, the incubator. We're getting to know people, and it's also with an incubator. You think of it's warm, it's nurturing, it's safe. It's where we keep you while you're getting strong enough, right? And I like that idea of incubator. I think it's
Yeah.
really good.
Okay, that's so funny because when you did the hatching analogy, I don't think I connected it until
Yes.
now because you're also in your own incubator because it's not only you're incubating the community. That's so funny. Yeah, like it's true, right? That's what happened to me because I
Yes.
couldn't be on YouTube, I couldn't be on LinkedIn, or even on my personal Facebook page. I like only had the group. I wasn't able to like do anything outside, and I was
Yes.
being incubated. That's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely an incubator, Stacey. I don't think you can use any other word. I think it's what it is.
Yeah, it's so good. Well, share more about kind of like what you're excited about. What are your goals with the Do It Now community and all the things that you're like looking forward to doing?
Yeah. So I've got my focus back now. I think a few people in my community might be wondering, well, where did Sarah go since the launch party? Because I had to take care of some other business things. I was running a business in Dallas. There was a lot of travel, and that just ended about a week or two ago. And it's interesting, because during that time I was going through a lot of emotional upheaval, and it was very hard and difficult and challenging. And there was a few times where I wondered, maybe I should share this with my community so they know what's going on and why I haven't been more present. And also to let people know that this is, this resistance part and this hardship and the fear and the things that come up for us. It's not like you, as you mentioned earlier, it's not like you just deal with it once and then it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up again and again. And the harder the bigger, as you said, the bigger calling as we try to do things bigger and more and go on, it's going to come up for us again. So I'm back. I'm focused, and I am starting this week. We're going to announce who I had some people who were engaging in what was their biggest challenge, and I have to find out from you how I pick the number or whatever and pick the person. And then Lucy's going to come in on Wednesday, and I would like to once a week have someone come in who can help all of us with any of these things that we're struggling with, whether it's fear, whether it's procrastination, whether it's what resources,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to do this. I would like to do it once a week and have somebody come in and have people be able to ask questions. If they can't attend live, they could submit their questions before.
Mm-hmm.
And also just have a lot of people in our community of either the audience incubator, the audience accelerator, the do the thing collaboration community. I want to reach out to our community and have people come in and talk and share. And that's what's so nice too, is we have right at our fingertips, right? All of these incredibly smart, talented, wise, generous people who will come and share. And that's a real gift to have by connecting with all of us, right? We have this,
Yeah.
it's almost like as I've joked around in the past, like Stacey's list, right? If we can get in on Stacey's list, then you kind of know the people are good. And so I want to share that in my community. And I want to start having my community come live with me. If they're, going to be going and doing something and they're going to go do it now, whether they want to share the win or whether they want to come and talk before and maybe they need some support, inspiration. So that's kind of what I want to keep sharing. And I'm going to be sharing things I'm doing this year that are outside of my comfort zone. And
Mm.
yes.
It's so funny that you say that too, because what you're talking about, even in your group, now that's in your comfort zone, right? And the
Mhm.
other things are outside. But I imagine that the thing you're talking about right now with these lives and these experts and all that, like 3 months ago, that would have been the outside your comfort zone.
Oh, I know. I mean, I'm like laughing at myself as I'm saying this. I'm like, oh, once a week live. It's like literally a couple months ago, I was crying because I had to go live and I had to push the button. I was like, I can't do this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good because like it just shows how fast,
Yes.
it happens and then we forget, right? Like now you're doing a podcast like it's nothing, and now you're coming in live like it's nothing, like it's
You,
not even like a thing.
that's what I want to say. Anyone who's listening, I talk about this a lot. It's the slingshot method. You literally can go so far so fast if you just do it and do it with Stacey because she's
And
daring
you.
you to do it. I mean, you got to do it. It's a dare. Come on.
Yeah. So yeah, this is great. I love it because yeah, you're just showing how like the hard things become easy and then you need new hard things, right? Like because you got to keep
Right.
going up. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
good. Share like also just like I want to get into like the feeling that
Mm,
happens like during the launch party. I want to just go back there for a
mm,
minute because I
mhm,
just that warm hug of the like holding space for people and
mhm,
like knowing that they're your people, right? And they're
mhm,
there because you've curated them, right? Through
mhm.
inviting them. It's not like you're blasting it out into the ethers because you don't want to do that yet. That could be
No.
something you do down the road,
Mhm,
once you kind of like get that
mhm,
core founding,
mhm.
member. But just like, what was that like? Just holding space for people, like that.
I think it was empowering, and it was a lot of growth happened for me in that event, and I'll tell you why. I don't know if this happens for anyone else. You'll have to tell me if they've
Mhm.
shared this with you, but that part of us that I think, and maybe this is universal, that says, "Who am I? Who am
Mhm.
I to think that I could be leading a group? Who am I to think that people would want to be in my community?" It just it you it's hard for us to get our minds around that if we haven't done it before. I
Mhm.
had not been a leader of a community. I had not founded a Facebook community before. It was all new. And so to get to the other side of that and say, wow, it was actually fun. This thing that I thought I couldn't do, it was actually fun. And it's not about whether, I think I can do it or I can't do it. If I don't step up and do, even if there's one person that I can help in my community that ends up going out and doing something and doing it now and ends up
Yeah.
achieving their dream or doing something that they hadn't thought they could do, or maybe they thought it was too late in life to do, that's all I need is one person whose
Mhm.
life is changed by my community. And so it it takes away all, it's not about me, it's about them. And I really, really believe in that thing of just one. I've really gotten over like how many people are in my community or how fast it needs to grow. As you said, I want to get to know them and nurture them. And how can I do that if it's growing too quickly? But
Mhm.
also that story of one person. I think I've mentioned this to you before that uh, Vishan, the guy who is the founder of Mind Valley,
Mhm.
he was doing sales. He was really unhappy working in Northern California, and there was the crash. And he signed up for this course, the Silva Method. He flew to Los Angeles, and he was the only person who showed up for this course,
Mhm.
for this teacher. But think of the lives that have been changed by that teacher teaching him this method. And so that we have to remember that it's not in the numbers. It's in the real true connection with one person who then goes out in the world and does something. And then that has a ripple effect and that does something. I've often thought back to that part of me where I think about my brother and my cousin, and I
Mhm.
think about the fact that you have all of us with these communities where we're offering for free our knowledge, our support, our uh, and I think that what if there had been communities like this back then and they had been able to join a community and support,
Yeah.
and the guidance and just that I remember being in Joel Bauer's mentorship program, and there were a lot of really talented people in that group. I remember, Elijah Bowie's in that group, and just wonderful people. And at the end of the week, we were all given 2 minutes to sort of give a pitch at the microphone at the front. And at that time, I got up and I didn't make a pitch, and I said, I want to just ask all of you, when you go out into the world and you have these gifts to offer, will you please remember to either have a sliding scale or offer some of your services and your value for free, because there's some people out there who can't afford it. But if you share it with them, you never know the lives you could change. And so it's really meaningful to me that you just create this naturally. All of us are here. I mean, think of Vicky, the messages she's sharing, and Alex, and everyone, Janet. Like, we're all just giving of ourselves to people in a community that's free. And we never know somebody that's really making a meaningful impact in their life, and it means something to them. So that's that part that I'm talking about, is like, stop worrying about what other people think. Stop worrying about whether we think we can do it, and just start sharing with people and trying to connect and adding value to their life, and everything else will work itself out.
Yeah, no, it's so good. And that's what I love. I love the access, right? Because
Yes.
everyone gets it for free. And then there's
Yes.
always a percentage of people that, like you said, they're going to either reach out directly, or you have an offer that you're willing to help them implement something or hold them more accountable or whatever, and they want more access to you. And it's just it's such an easy way that's just effortless. There's no hard closing. Because I remember, like, when whenever I've offered something for free, I actually sometimes am more like, why aren't you doing it? And now that I'm doing paid, I like to leave it alone. I'm like, if you, and so it's so funny, but it's more because I know the result I can help someone have. Right. And so I feel like that's what the gift is of all of us, being able to do it, because we're so tapped in to how we can serve, that, like, that's the conviction that, like, shows,
Yes. And also that word connection that you talked about earlier, the connection we're offering for people to have with us and with one another. I feel that that's such a gift you're giving, because I've mentioned this to you before, that I think part of the reason we're having so much depression and we're having so many issues and so much loneliness and sadness in the world is because everybody's disconnected. They're on their phones or they're on their screens, and to have created these communities where people can come together and see what someone else is talking about, comment on it, get to know each other. They start being Facebook friends. Before you know it, you've got this, as you mentioned, this warm, supportive community that they wouldn't have had otherwise. That's a lot of connections. I mean, I would love for you to do is go and count all the communities that have been created since you started this, all the members of them, all the friends that have been created, right? I'm sure it just.
Yeah, that's what's cool too. Because even the action class that I did the last time, and the first, I've done 2 so far, and the people that, like, did it, like, came for free, also started a Facebook group, and so it's cool, like, because I'm seeing those out there, and so technically I'm still like, it's still part of the whole thing. But to me, it's crazy. The thing that's crazy to me is that this is, and I think I said it in my 200th episode, that, like, all these relationships come from a Facebook group. Like, it's so, like, that, it blows my mind that we have, like, this level of, like, access to help people in the way that we can through building relationships through a simple Facebook group. It's crazy, right?
It's wild. It's crazy. I had no idea. I was not really a social media person at all. So this has all been new.
Like, I felt that with the podcast too. But then they can't talk to each other, so it's like the podcast is great. It's just one lever. The Facebook group then kind of, like, connects everyone together, where even if someone's just been a guest on your podcast, or they've been someone that listens to it, then they're all, like, talking to each other now, versus them just one-off listening, Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I can't believe the number of connections that you have made and created. And I'm wondering too, like, one day it's going to be like, how many friendships, Maybe people will end up getting married. There'll be babies, Stacey. There'll be businesses. All these things will have been born out of the
Oh, you're
incubator.
so funny. I'd love you to share, just your community, why people should join you on this movement and this mission that you are creating for people, and just anything else that you want to share here would be amazing.
Yeah, I would love for people to come and join my community if they want to be around like-minded people who are motivated and inspired to go after something that maybe they haven't known how to go after yet, or they've been waiting for the moment. And we're going to be all talking about do it now, do it now, do it now. We're going to be about taking action. I want people to come if there's anything in your life that you have wanted to do and you've been holding off or unsure how to do it or scared to do it, come be with us and we will be, encouraging each other. It's like we're going to join arms and we're going to go do it. It's like battle cry.
I love it.
And and I really truly think that as we move forward and we start to have experts come in and talk and speak, and we start seeing people taking the action and doing it now, those are going to be really fun stories. I'm thinking actually, when you talk about a book, I'm thinking about there will be a book. I'm envisioning a book about the people in the group who took action, who did it now, who are doing it now, and what that ended up. It's a different, it's similar to the bucket list idea that I think all of us have things that dreams or aspirations or achievements, something, or, maybe it's someone who wanted to sing on Broadway, or they wanted to travel to a certain place, or they wanted to write a book, whatever it is. We don't have any time to waste. Tomorrow's not promised. And all the things that have been holding us back, there's a way to figure it out. Everything's figure outable if we're together. And I say that we are better together and we can do it together. So come be with us and we'll figure it out together. Do it now.
So good. Yay. Thank you so
Yay.
much for being here with me.
Thank
Love
you.
you. So good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And for using your voice, right?
Oh,
Thank you for
thank you. And I want to know, how can other people start doing what I've been able to do with you? When's your next?
Yeah, I've got Saturday. I'm deciding if I'm opening it up.
Oh, okay.
So, because I'm still doing the training, but I don't know if I'm opening the doors yet because
Okay.
I have the TEDx talk in end of August, and I was planning on starting the program August 5th, and so now I'm deciding if I'm going to do all of it, kind of
Okay.
but we'll see. But anyway, training. At
Mhm.
least you'll get to learn all about audience growth. Next Saturday is 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Okay.
And I just really want to, regardless of what happens, regardless who joins the program or anything, I just want people to understand the audience differently. I think it's just it's exhausting for me,
Mm,
to see everybody out there just promoting,
right.
and not topping in to telling people why why are you even doing it, and so and then when you do that, it's in a so much more relational way that you don't need thousands of people. You're calling out the person that's
Yes.
specific to you. And so we're going to be talking about that during the training and things like that to help find those people and how to bring people in and to nurture them. So
Mm.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I think everyone should be there if they can next Saturday, 10 a.m. Can I come? I want to come hear it again.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for coming, and do the thing. Don't wait for opportunity. Create it.
Bye.
So whoops, let me end the stream here.